boys, back with another video. Before we start off this tier list, it's been about 5 days since I've uploaded one, so we're back. And pretty much every week, or whenever stuff gets nerfed, whenever something changes, we're going to basically do a whole section of tier list off that one. And then we're going to wait a while, wait till the next nerfs, and then we'll do another one. Obviously, once the expansion starts, we're still going to do the tier list, but we'll do actual content as well. But, before we start off this video, if anybody has 4 tokens worth of gold, so I'm looking for retail gold, I need a kata boost, so I need enough for a kata boost, which means 4 tokens. Now, I usually do 1 hour coaching per token. Obviously, the prices have been really insane. So right now, whoever can get me a supply of 4 tokens worth of gold, I will do 8 hours of coaching. So I'm doubling the amount of hours that I usually do because I wanna play Keta. And now that I got banned, I have to restart. And I'm not trying to level from 1. So anybody who has 4 tokens worth of gold, let's say you have a lot of gold and you're looking for coaching, this coaching will be from the start of the expansion, whenever you want it, pretty much, whenever you have the time and all that good stuff. But yeah, if you have the gold and you're looking for 8 hours, so 4 tokens, 8 hours worth, maybe even 10. It really just depends on how much I'm vibing with that person, and it just depends really. But guaranteed 8 hours plus. So if you have the gold, hit me up. Otherwise, if you're looking for other supplies of services, carries, coaching, anything like that. So make sure you hit me up. Otherwise, let's start on with the tier list here. Now, I don't know if you can hear stuff in the background. It's super faint if you can hear anything, so it's not too big of a deal. But let's get onto the video here. Now, let's start with Druid. Rest Druid has not changed. It's still S tier. We kind of already know it's doing an immense amount of healing on the pre-patch and on beta. When they're doing both really good on both, it usually means it's S tier or A tier, so we don't really have to talk much about that. Boomy, if you haven't seen Supatis's new video, I suggest you go watch it, because at first I thought they were low A tier, maybe high B. Now I guarantee they're S tier. These guys are doing a lot of damage. They're doing the highest I've seen him do. It's the most damage I've seen in the entire game so far. It was 1.2 million consistent damage was from a Boomy, which was from that video. So they're doing an immense amount of damage with whatever new build they're running, and especially versus melee cleaves, you're just cleaving an entire team. I'm pretty sure it's like a Starfire, or I don't know what the actual ability is, but it's like an ability that nobody ever used before. It was kind of just an ability to get, just to click, but now it literally just does unhealable damage. It's like the best ability. It's like between Starfire and your other ability, it's like it's pumping. It's probably better than Starfire. So yeah, Boomy's looking really nice. You're gonna see a lot of Boomies, especially if people start realizing how broken it is, and that's pretty much that. I guarantee it's gonna get nerfed on its actual big, because its big ability, it's like literally, it's like the bite version of Feral Druid, but you're having it pretty much consistently. It's insane, and it's AOE. The next one we're going to be going with is Pharaoh Druid. Based off what I've seen, Pharaoh is not really doing the numbers that it was doing. It's still doing really good damage. Its bleed damage is great. Its bite damage is great. Is it S tier great? I don't think so. I think it's still really good, and everything's, insane about it, but I don't think it's up there anymore. S tier is like the top dogs, pretty much OP of the OP. Based off of what I've seen, it's not up there. Now you'll see a lot of them, but I don't think they're S tier anymore. Next one that we're going to be going with is going to be, I'm not doing tanks, so let's get that out of the way. We're going to be going with Warrior. Now, I don't know what happened, but I swear, Arms Warrior is S tier. I don't know about on the pre-patch. Again, this is kind of based off of both. I'm trying to like put them in, because the beta is based off of full gear, and the pre-patch is based off of last gear, and then we won't really know because we'll have Koreans whenever, because everything can balance out, so we don't know exactly. This is kind of just like estimating what's going to be broken. But I've seen these warriors do 650 to 750. If they get cleave damage, it's kind of like a Boomy. If they're cleaving, they're doing 800k. Like they're doing maximum output damage, maybe 750, 800, but they are pumping out damage. It's like when Unholy DK was broken, like S tier broken. It was pumping out wild amounts of damage, and I think you're gonna see a lot of warriors, a warrior in every lobby. Fury warrior, same thing. I think Fury is actually better than Arms. The difference between Arms and Fury to me is Fury has consistent, complete broken pressure. Arms Warrior is pretty much broken, on its burst. So when it pops burst, it's just full throttling, and then off its burst, it's still doing 600, 650k a second, and that's like non-stacked. So I think Warrior's going to be a great, class this season, and you're going to see a lot of them. The next class I'm gonna be going over is DK. Unholy DK, I think is A tier. People were over exaggerating when it got nerfed that one time. They do the same thing every time. A class gets absolutely. Now there's classes that do get butchered, like Sub Rogue. When it gets nerfed, everybody knows Sub Rogue is the one class in the entire game that when it gets nerfed so bad that it's like it is Negan hitting it. It's the worst nerf of all time. Thankfully, it hasn't gotten absolutely butchered yet, and it's still pretty good. But yeah, DK is very good. It's high A by far. It's almost S. If it was hitting the burst that these classes were doing, it would be S. But it just does a consistent like pressure. It does like 600, 650 consistent, which is nice. Frost DK is going to be in the same situation. Now you're not going to be doing any consistency or nothing like that, but your burst is still going to be very nice. And pairing this with like other classes, Frost DK Fury, Frost DK Arms, Frost DK Dev Evoker, DH, Windwalker. You just have so many comps you can play with the Frost DK that you can make it work. And, you're going to see a lot of Frost DKs. Now, obviously, Frost DK, I think, is the high version of DPS. If you don't do perfect setups, you're not really going to have fun. It's not going to be a good time. But if you know what you're doing, I think you're going to have a great time playing Frost. Next one that we're going to be going over is going to be Rogue. Sub Rogue, to me, is also no longer S tier. It's going to be high A. After the hero nerf, it's no longer hitting those, 2 million, 3 million eviscerates. It's just doing, 800, 900k eviscerates. Maybe on like Windwalkers and targets that take a lot of damage, it's doing like 1.2 mil. But you're not really hitting any huge numbers like you were. They absolutely butchered the hero talent. Now it's like, you could still pad really good. So like most of your damage, like if you see rogues doing consistent damage, it's just their rupture doing a lot of damage. It's not actually like the rogue being able to keep up with you in general. It's just his rupture, which is still good. But I don't really like the fact that they're trying to put Sub Rogue into an assassination. Like Sub Rogue's not meant to do consistency; it's meant to do burst. So it's not meant to be able to keep up with all the other classes. It's meant to do a massive amount of burst and then not really have any damage after that. But now they're kind of treating it like an assassination rogue, so it's kind of weird. Assassination rogue, I actually haven't really seen any. It did get buffed, so I'm putting it low A, maybe just A in general. It's still gonna be really good. I'm not sure why I haven't seen any of them or where they're at, but it got him buffed. So I don't understand. Like Assassination was really good in season 4, and it didn't get nerfed. It just got buffed. So I don't understand what happened with this class, or if just nobody's like it. I mean, then again, Assassination to me is boring, but at the same time, it is still fun. It's just a laid back spec that you can play, and overall, I think it's gonna be A tier. I think people once these other classes get tuned down a bit, Assassination will skyrocket. I still think it's good. I don't think it's S tier good or high A. I just think it's like in between, somewhere in there. Now, some of these aren't based off of like Pharaoh's not better than like just don't look at it as based of like, oh, well, Assassin is better than Frost or and Holy is better than SS. I'm just putting it unless I specifically say what spot it is I'm just putting it there because it's kind of equal. So just keep that in mind. Next one that I'm going to be going over is going to be Outlaw. Outlaw, I think, is by far the worst spec out of the three. Sub and Assass are just in a total different zone. Outlaw, sure, you got CC, but your damage is Outlaw. It's going to be mid. Everything about Outlaw is just, yeah, pretty trash. Are you going to see much Outlaws? Probably not. So, the first B tier spec that is definitely B tier. I think it deserves that spot. Next spec that I'm going over is going to be Mage, the one and only. Frost Mage is still going to be S tier. I'm surprised that it still reigns above most classes. It's been S tier for a very long time. It's a very simple spec right now. It's just Ice Lance damage, and you're just doing pretty much. You're never casting pretty much. You're kind of just spamming Ice Lances. To me, it would be a boring spec, but I guess if you're doing unhealable damage, it can't be that boring. Um, yeah, they're still S tier. They're still super good. Depending on whether these get nerfed, Frost Mage Fury Warrior might be a good comp. You've seen a lot of Fire Mage Furies and Fire Mage Feral, so you may see some Frost Mage. You're gonna see a lot of Frost Demo, Frost Feral, Frost Fury Warrior, maybe even Frost Rogue. But yeah, Arcane. Um, I thought at first it was B tier, but based off of what I've seen, it's going to be low A. It's still going to be in the category. It's doing a lot of burst damage right now. I've also seen Supati's video. Now, to be fair, they did have to set it up, so it's not like it's just they pop burst and they do damage. It's like a whole setup thing. But they're apparently their sphere is doing a lot of damage, so you may see a decent amount of these guys. Um, Arcane Fury Warrior, Arcane Feral, same thing as Frost Mage. You can pretty much do the same thing other than like with Demo Lock Arcane, but you might see a lot of Arcane Ferals, Arcane Fury Warrior. Who knows? I still think Arcane's up there. It's just a burst. Again, it's low A, high B. It's still not going to be. You're not going to see a bunch of them, but are they good? They're solid. I think they're definitely good. Next one I'm going off of is going to be Fire. Fire is going to be absolutely garbage. I'm not sure why they haven't done anything with the spec. It's just overall, it takes too much damage. The damage that you're putting out is not even worth it. Flame Cannon is the most useless cooldown. Now, Flame Cannon made your Pyroblast do more damage, that's what it was. I don't know why they made it do everything else. So, Flame Cannon is supposed to make your Pyroblast. Pyroblast as a Fire Mage is your main ability, and they didn't even do it for their main ability. So they've just been absolutely garbage this entire expansion, and they'll probably be they're just garbage. They'll continue being trash because Blizzard hates class that actually takes a brain cell to use or play. Next fight I'm going over is going to be Ellie. Ellie to me is going to be S tier. Um, actually I don't know where I want to put this yet. Actually, I'm gonna put it at A tier for now. If I'm being honest. I've seen its damage, and it's no longer doing those huge numbers. Now, is it still really good? Yeah, but I no longer. It's like it's kind of in the category of a DK. Like it's doing damage. I don't really see it doing 750 plus. I just see it doing a consistency of like 400 or 600, which is perfectly fine. And I think Ellie's A tier. It's no longer S. I don't think it reigns above like these other classes anymore. Next one I'm going over is Restlesham. Restlesham's also going to be A tier. You're going to have a lot of output with healing, and it's also just a very easy spec to play. You're literally just spamming Riptides and Totems. And then obviously you need to be doing good with your Earthens, but otherwise it's just like a super chill spec to play. It's not very difficult. Obviously every healer to an extent is difficult, but overall the rotations is just very easy, not very hard, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with Restleshams. Next back that I'm going over is Enhance. Enhance is going to be B tier by far. They still haven't done anything with Enhancement Shaman. Now, Enhance is always that class. It's kind of like it's a wannabe Fury Warrior with maybe like a little bit of sub rogue in it. It's not very good. It's same thing as Fire Mage and Outlaw. They just refuse to do anything with the specs. It sucks that they just favor some specs and then others just never get touched. But that's just Blizzard, and it is a small indie company, so you can't really expect them to be a multi-billion-dollar company like all the other ones. So, yeah. Next spec I'm going over is going to be Monk. Mistweaver Monk is by far not as good as I thought it was. Now, overall, I think its healing is great, but I still think it's not in the category of like S tier is the top dogs, and I think they're so far ahead now that it's just like it's a no competition. I think obviously Restlesham's better than Mistweaver, but Mistweaver's orb is useless. Like if you've seen on the beta, they put orb up and that thing's gone in like 3 globals because it only does like 6 mil. And if people are doing almost a million a second, or 700, 800, that's gonna be gone in like 2 globals. So yeah, they definitely could use a buff. Now in RBGs, Blitz, they're gonna be great because just the amount of healing output you're getting out is great. But when you don't have defensives, it's like a holy priest with no defensive cooldowns. And we've all seen how that goes. Same thing with H-Bow. Except obviously Mistweaver has healing, it just has no defensive cooldowns. When a healer does an insane amount of healing, but it has no defensive cooldowns, it never does well, unfortunately. Next fight that I'm going over is Windwalker. Windwalker's also going to be A tier. I'm seeing Windwalker do a lot of damage. It's almost S tier. Do I think it's S tier? No, but I still think it's very good. Not bad at all. Just like these other specs, it does a good amount of burst. It's consistency, and you may see a lot of them. Again, Arcane's low A. SS, Frosty K is like low A, I think. I think Windwalker's like high A because it's doing a lot. Like you're seeing a lot of these. So, let me just put this in melee. Next one I'm be going over is going to be, let's go with Hunter. Hunter is going to be A tier. I've actually seen a decent amount of these guys. Now they're not doing insane amount of damage. It's not like they're doing 800k, but they're still doing really good damage, really good burst, and overall they're still playable. They did get a massive nerf, but they're still really good. They're pretty much in the same spot that they were at. Next pick is going to be Survival Hunter. Based off what I've seen, they're just not very good. I don't think they deserve the A tier spec anymore. Sure, they might do a good amount of pressure, but the fact that they're just dying and it's not very, I don't think it's very good, to be honest. At first, I was like, maybe it can be up there, but it's like, I don't feel like it deserves to be up there. I haven't seen enough of it, and it's just the other classes are able to do consistency. Survival Hunter is just that class. You go in there, you die in two. It's like Fire Mage. It has a little bit of damage, but is it like, are you going to see a lot of these? No, you're not. Obviously, there might be some, exceptions. So maybe sometimes it could be good. Maybe it just depends. But I don't think it's gonna be. You're not gonna see a lot of these guys at all. Next bet I'm gonna be going over is BM. Personally, um, I think honestly BM's gonna be low A. Just in general, I haven't really seen any BM hunters. Just hunter in general, I haven't really seen. So I'm just gonna put. I'm just gonna be saying both these are low A. Again, don't rank all these by like certain things unless I specifically say it. So like past this, these are gonna be low A. So assess, arcane, BM, MM, those are gonna be like low A. And then obviously Mistweaver is also gonna be not very good. Next one that I'm going over is going to be Priest. So Shadow Priest, I've actually seen it do a pretty good amount of damage. Now, is it insane or anything? This is like low A as well. I still think it's A tier, and sure, it's doing great. It can do great, but like when it's getting focused, it's not really doing much pressure. You're not really able to do anything, and you're not really seeing any huge numbers. Sure, it has CC, sure, it has everything else, but I think overall it's not the best. It definitely could use a buff, but yeah, I still think it's good. Still think you're gonna see a good amount of these guys. Are they S tier? By far not. Are they high A? No. Disc Priest, I think by far is going to be S tier. I think the best healers in the game are going to be Evoker, Resto Druid, Disc Priest. Those three healers you're going to see 99% of the time. So we can just put Evoker up there as well. So these are going to be my top healers right here. Now in order, I would probably say this is going to be the order. Now it could be this instead. I think Resto Druid by far is going to be the best just overall healing spec. But obviously, Evoker can easily counter Resto Druid, as we've seen in Season 4 and other seasons, where Evoker and Evokers can just purge all their hots off instantly, which is insanely OP. So, and especially since both of these are going to be really insane, so I think, obviously both these specs are S tier still. So this is going to be your S tier folder here, but I don't think anything else is S tier in this whole thing right here. Next one I'm be going over is going to be Og I think is pretty garbage. I don't really have to talk much about this spec. It really hasn't been touched in a very long time. Um, Maybe you may see some. I don't think so though. And if you do see one, it's gonna be very rare. Sure, some people are like, "Oh, well, I've seen some do that, this and this." And it's very rare that you're gonna see these guys. I'm not really gonna put a class in there that's randomly doing something when you don't even see it. If a class is good, you're gonna see it often, and if you don't see that class often, it means it's not very good. So same can be said about BM and Arcane. So, I'm just because so many people tell me that these classes are going to be really good, and I've seen them on some YouTube videos. That's the only reason I'm putting them there. That's why they're low and they're not like up there. I'm not specifically being, oh, they're A tier, they're almost S. No. Next one I'm gonna be going over is going to be Destro Warlock, which is going to be A tier. Uh, Destro Warlock is going to be really good. You're going to see a good amount of these guys. Same thing with Affy. All three of lock specs really are going to be good. Even though Demo's not doing as much pressure or anything, it's about the reason it's going to do so well is because of its control. Demo Lock was always about control. And guess what? If you put a Frost Mage with a Demo Lock or a DK with a Demo Lock, it's going to do very well. Or maybe even a Shadow Priest. So I think they're not high A or nothing, especially Demo Lock or nothing, but I still think they're up there. I think Destro and Affy, they're still doing really good damage. It's kind of like an Ellie, but obviously Ellie is going to be the top of the casters, like in this category of A tier. Next one's going to be Ret Paladin. Ret Paladin's going to be A tier. They're doing a good amount of damage, especially in like RBGs and Blitz. You're going to see a lot of Rets. Now in arena-wise, solo shuffle, you're still going to see a lot of Rets. Rets is a really basic spec to play, and you know people enjoy the spec. And I think they're gonna do. It's kind of like a Windwalker. They're still doing damage. Are they S tier good? No, but they're definitely up there. DH is also going to be low. It's kind of hard to put it at low A because I haven't seen a single DH. This is going to be the one spec I'm going to put at B tier. Now in pre-patch, sure it may be able to be A tier, but I think I haven't seen a single DH in the beta. So watching Naj, I haven't seen a single DH ever. So based off of that, something went wrong with DH, and for some reason they're just doing nothing. They're doing okay damage, but not enough to where it's like, oh well, I'm still dying insanely fast, and I'm not getting any benefit. At least Windwalker, you're doing a bunch of bursts, and then like obviously you might die quick, but you're doing a lot of output. Same thing with Frost DK, Unholy DK, Sub Rogue. You know, you die fast, but you're able to do something as a DH. Yeah, it's kind of like a Fire Mage. They just like forgot about the spec. I don't know what happened or what went wrong, but something is yeah, they're not very good. Next spec that I'm going over is going to be Holy Priest. Same spot, not very good. It's the same thing as Mistweaver, except Mistweaver has consistent healing, and Holy Priest just does, you know, you have your little bit of burst healing, but like you have 0 defensive cooldowns. So you're not able to save your team. At least you get Cocoon. It's not the best, but, you know, Holy Priest is just a whole different category. H-Pow is also going to be the healer. I'm honestly, not to be biased, because obviously I play H-Pow, I think it's going to be one of the lower healers as well. I think it's going to be in the same category as Mistweaver. Um, I think it's going to be worse than Mistweaver, but better than Holy Priest, if that makes sense. So I think it's not high A or nothing. So I think, like, if I had to put it in a category here, like for healer-wise, they would be like the very low A, and this is what it would be like. And then obviously Rest of Sham's going to be the better version of healers for A tier. So it's going to go Holy Priest the worst, H-Pow, Mistweaver, Resto Shaman, Resto Druid is going to be your top dog, and then you can really just, you know, put it your own opinion which one you think is going to be the best. But I think Resto Druid definitely, and it's either going to be Disc or it's going to be Prez. Most likely Prez is going to be a tiny bit better for healing, but Disc Priest is going to be overall better for cooldown usage. But that's pretty much my tier list, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Obviously, it's a little bit different than the other ones, but again, if you have 4 tokens worth of gold, you're looking for some coaching for next expansion, I need this gold ASAP. So this deal only lasts for maybe a day or 2. So anybody that hears this message, if you have the gold, 8 hours to 10 hours worth of coaching or carries. So it's your choice. But if you get carries, you don't get the coaching. If you get the coaching, it's all about coaching. It's not about rating. So it really just depends on what you want. So if you have 4 tokens worth of gold, hit me up because I need the gold ASAP for the Kata boost so I can start playing some Kata. We're going to have some Rogue Kata gameplay coming out in the future as well. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.